So welcome back to another tutorial, guys, and today we're going to do again another skin fade tutorial. So we're going to be looking towards doing a more higher skin fade than usual, and we're going to do a different method today. I do like to go in with my clippers and put my zero line in first. So we start from the most narrowest part of the arch here, and we're going to follow the shape of the head. And we're going to stop halfway, and we're going to repeat the exact same on the other side. Okay, again, from the narrowest bit in. Connected the back and making sure that it's even on both sides. So that's even on both sides there, guys. So now we're going to just take out the hair underneath with our trimmers. Just clean all that underneath hair out. We're not going above the line of the guide here, we're just going right up to it. Following all the way around, guys, making sure that you leave no unwanted hair as well, making sure that everything's nice and clean, as it saves you going back over it afterwards as well. As we've done that part of the haircut, guys, but now we're going to go in with our shorter trimmers and just sort of bald that out underneath before we go into our foilers. So now that we've finished going with our trimmers, making it down to as short as we can, we're going to go in with our foil shavers. And what we're going to do is we're going to work at a downward motion by this section here. And then when we get lowered down, we're going to work an up and down motion to make it even shorter. So using an up and down motion right now, this will completely clean the hair off. And then as we get higher up to the top, right about now, we're going to work on a downward motion only. So this will blend in the bottom line of the foil shaver. So up and down, and then just down. It's like knocking that bottom line out that you've created with the foil shaver. So now that we've finished doing the guide going all the way around the head, we're going to work up one side of the head at a time. So starting this process, we're going to use the 0.5 guard first and just create our first guide by here. Still working with about a finger width as well, and making sure that we follow the same line as we have below. So now we are going to blend this guard bottom line into our 0.5 guard. So starting with our shortest trimmers, our longer trimmers, going in from our shortest, and we're just going to be sort of just slightly knocking that line out. Kind of just taking it up ever so slightly. And then moving on to our clippers and closed, and we're going to do exactly the same using just the corners of the blade and opening ever so slightly as we move up. Brushing away any excess hair as well, so we know exactly what we're doing and what we're going to be taking away and not taking away. So now we've done that part of the haircut, guys, we're actually going to start descending this time. So usually that we would go into our one guard here, but today I just want to show you a different process I also like to use in the barbershop. So going in with our two guard open, we're just going to follow our foundation line that we've already created with the top. And following that all the way back. So now we've got it closed. Then moving on to our 1.5 guard open. .5 guard closed. So now moving on to our one guard open, instead of using the comb, we're going to move over to our fade brush, so we can brush away any excess hair so we know what part of the haircut we're at. So one guard open. Now one guard closed, but I'm also just using the corners of the blade. I'm not using the full blade, I'm just using the corners. This allows me not to take off as much hair. Then I'm going to open it halfway. And you can just sort of like trigger play with the lever as well, just to see if you could see any darker spots that needs removing, just to make that fade a lot smoother. Now moving down to our 0.5 guard, and we're going to start off with close to open. So as if we were putting our one guard in and putting it through there, as what we usually do. So we're just going to basically blend our 0.5 into what we've already got there. So starting off closed, just using the corners as well, guys, just being a little bit more cautious like that as you go up. Opening that lever a little bit at a time. And just imagine that you're just rubbing that last little bit of the line out. Now for just a little bit of refining, I can still see that there's a line here still. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back down to my no guard closed and just sort of remove any of these, well, lines that obviously we don't want there. Also, take as much time as you possibly need as well, guys, with refining, because a process can work for some people and not for others. So that's why there's so many different ways of fading out there. Like, I have a few processes that work for me, and there's a few processes that I've tried, or a few different ways that I've tried that don't work for me as well. So you just got to go out there, find your own process and manipulate it to the way that you like. So I can still see that there's a little bit of darker spots, so I'm going to go back up to my 0.5 guard open and start sort of descending down from that. So now that we've actually finished with this process part, guys, I'm just going to go in and do some refining with some freehand point cutting. So when freehand point cutting, I find it that a lot of barbers out there are like, well, this technique doesn't really do anything for me. And it's not that it's not doing anything for them, it's just that they're not using the technique correctly. The way to do it is, say if our client's hair is coming straight down now, then you're not going to go straight up. You want to sort of create a little bit of an angle, and you want to be just doing it on certain points of the head. You see some people, they're just going in like this, and it's not really doing anything, and that's because there's no dark spots there for it. It's literally, this process is for darker spots in the head, and what happens is when you're actually going into those darker spots, you're actually separating them. And imagine using like thinning scissors. So that's what it's actually doing. You're thinning out certain spots of the head to make those that fade cleaner. Like, you could be looking through the camera now and think he's not even going through a darker spot, he's actually just going through nothing. But in my eyes, what I can see here, what isn't through the camera, is a darker spot. So now this part here, guys, I just want to sort of square it out a little bit. I can feel like there's a little bit of darker spots on our parietal ridge area, and I just want to sort of soften that out with some trimmer over comb, making sure that we're not going into the head at all, because that would just ruin the shape of the head. I'm going to go straight out and make it a very square shape haircut. It doesn't really need much work, but I do always like to go over this just to make sure. Moving on to the lineup, and we do not want to push back at all. We're just going to create a guide for when we use the blade. You still want to keep it as neat as possible. Sometimes you do have to push back a little bit, but I always make sure that I'm not pushing back too much, as when it grows back, it will grow back all stubbly and it just won't look like a good haircut. So just stretching the skin and going in with our razor. We're not pushing back at all, we're just creating that sharp line. To make that haircut really pop out that little bit more. So just going through this part here again, guys, I feel like there's a little bit of a slight line still there, so I'm just going to go in with my foilers on a downward motion over that line. Now that we've finished this side, guys, I'm just going to do the other side and the back here, and then I'll show you the finished result. So this is the finished look, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial, and if you did enjoy it, please don't forget to like and subscribe.